By the time we finish today, this video, your cardio and your steps will sit in the same place as your lifts, each one with a number you can actually beat. So here's the first thing that I want you to hold on to. There is one drop down in this app in Hevy, one. And that drop down decides whether your cardio is training or it is a diary entry. And most people have never scrolled far enough to see it. And I'm going to show you exactly where it is later in the episode. And I want you to have your phone in your hand when I do. So let's get into it. Let's look at the first thing. We are looking at this part. Look at these two entries. The first one says elliptical, 45 minutes. The second one says elliptical, 20 minutes, 4.1 kilometers. Same person, same machine, and same week. Nothing changed. Now tell me which one of those can you beat next Tuesday? Sit with that. Because that question is the whole episode today. And if you don't realize this, and let me just give you an idea underneath all of this, like the idea underneath everything that we're talking about today. Before we open the app, I want us to really understand this because I do not want this to be just a bunch of button tapping the entire show, the entire episode. I want to anchor us in a scripture. So Proverbs 27, verse 23. Know well the condition of your flocks and give attention to your herds. A shepherd who cannot tell how many sheep he has is not a shepherd. He's a man standing near sheep. He's a man standing near sheep. So that is not a verse about spreadsheets. That is a verse about your attention. What you have been given, you are supposed to look at, not obsess over. Just look at it, pay attention, bring awareness. And you cannot take care of something that you refuse to look at. So, right now, most of you are looking at half your training and pretending the other half doesn't exist. And then you're confused when the other half never gets better. That is the whole faith piece. So, that is all I'm going to say about it. So, let's get back to work. So, meet, say, Emily. She's 38, works in HR. She's got two kids, say 9 and 6. A few weeks ago, Emily did something hard. She cut her cardio from 5 sessions a week down to 2. She stopped getting up at 5:15 to grind out 45 minutes on the elliptical. And she started walking more instead. She protected her 3 lifting days. And it worked. She has more energy. She's hitting all 3 lifts. And the scale finally moved. But now she has a new problem. And it is a good problem. And nobody will wonder about it. She has 2 cardio sessions a week that she's choosing to do on her own. 25 minutes on the bike on Tuesday, 20 minutes on Thursday with 8 hard minutes in the middle. And she has no idea if either one is getting better. She cannot tell if she's fitter than she was in March. She cannot tell if the bike session is easier now or exactly the same. She has no record of it. She knows her squat went from 95 pounds to 135. She could tell you all of this in a sleep, but the cardio, it's gone. Every session, gone the moment that she stepped off the machine. And here's what happens to a person in that spot. Give it 4 months. Emily starts to think the cardio is not doing anything because nothing she can see has changed. And eventually, she drops it. And the thing that she dropped was the part taking care of her heart. That is what it costs, not a messy app. You quit the training you cannot see. So let's go through the three reasons your cardio is not in there. Because I have heard all three and I have believed them myself. One, at least. So we're going to look at the first line, number one. Hevy is a lifting app. Cardio does not really belong in there. So I use something else for that or nothing. Half of you have a second app for cardio. Be honest with yourself about the last time you actually opened it. And I get where it comes from. Heavy's built for lifting. That is the truth. It is the best in the world at sets and reps. And it's not trying to be a running app. But watch what that belief actually does to you. Your training splits into two piles. One pile is in heavy. It has history. It has records. You look at it every session. Pile 2 is an app you downloaded in maybe January and opened twice. Training you cannot see is training you stop doing. Not because you're lazy, because there is no feedback. Nothing pushes back. Nothing tells you you did better. Personally, I have Strava. I've tried Strava to use the two. For training, Strava is not great. Terrible. For running, fantastic. Active sports, outdoor sports, fantastic. I tried to sync it with Heavy and I had to log in one and log in another one. It's just work. I don't open Strava anymore because I'm not really running. I focus more on lifting. So that is a lie that I also believed in until something happened. So we're going to look at lie number two. Lie number two says, or people think, and this is the big one. And this one is probably for most of you. I do log my cardio. I put in 45 minutes on the elliptical. It is in there. It is in there. And that is true. It is in there. The way that a receipt is in a shoebox. Because let me ask you the question from the top again. What are you going to beat next week? How are you going to know that you trained harder than last time? 45 minutes? You're going to do 46? Is 46 better? Is it? You could do 46 minutes moving slower than you did this week, and the number would be bigger and you'd be worse. There is nothing to chase in that entry. Nothing. You wrote down that time passed while you were in a machine. So hold that thought because that is where the whole episode actually turns and things change. But before it changes, let's look at line number three. What is line number three? Line number three says, I need Heavy to count my steps. And since it does not, step Step tracking has to live in a completely separate app that I never open. So let me answer this one flat out right now. No suspense. Hevy is never going to count your steps. It does not do it. It is not coming, as far as we know. That is not what the app is for. Hevy sends your workouts to Apple Health or Health Connect. It does not reach back in and grab your step count. And I told you that at the start. And I told you that I would tell you why that turns out to be the good news. I'm coming back to that. It is not a workaround. It is actually a better way to think about steps, and it is going to save you from a mistake I see people make constantly. All right, so let's get to the thing. So, why does this app make you better at lifting and do nothing for your cardio? It is the same app, same screen, same you. Here is the answer. So, whether you've used Hevy, you're planning to use Hevy, you're curious about using Hevy, you need to pay attention to this. And I want you to really hear this. Hevy does not make you stronger. Hevy has never made anyone stronger. Beating last week's number makes you stronger. Hevy just takes last week's number and puts it right there on the screen, on the left, where you cannot avoid seeing it while you're setting up for a set, your first set. That is the entire mechanism. Compare last week's performance to this week. That is the whole product. Train harder than last time. Progressive overload. It is a machine for showing you the number you have to beat. And for your cardio, you have that machine switched off. Because a number you cannot beat is not a target. It's simply a diary entry. So say it with me. 45 minutes is a diary entry. 4.1 kilometers in 20 minutes is a target. It is specific. It is precise. Cardio becomes training the moment it has a number you're trying to beat. A number that allows you to train harder than last time and measure how much you're training harder than last time. Give me a second. Let's see. Yeah, we are back. We are back. Quick. It was a quick break. We are back. Good news. So, as I was saying, you want to train harder than last time. Same machine, same 20 minutes, and one of those entries compounds for 2 years, and the other one evaporates before you actually get to your car. Now, that drop down that I promised you, I want to show you. So, we want to look at this drop down. When you create a custom exercise inside Hevy, it asks you what type it is. And there is a list: weight and reps, body weight, weight and body weight, body weight reps, weight and body weight, assisted body weight, duration and weight, distance and duration, weight, and distance. Most people scroll past that list without reading it, or they're confused, they don't know what it is, because they're creating a lift, and the first option is always right. For cardio, the first option is wrong, and the one you want is distance and duration. That is the one that you want. So pick duration only, and all Hevy can ever show you is how long you were on that thing. That is a diary entry forever, and you cannot fix it later without redoing the entire exercise. So pick distance and duration, and something completely different happens. Hevy starts keeping your best pace, your longest distance, your longest time. It graphs them. It tells you when you break one right there in the session, the same way it does when you hit a lifting record, your PR. One drop down, just 2 seconds. That is the difference between 4 months of cardio you can see and 4 months of cardio that you cannot see. So that is a mistake, fam. That is the whole mistake. It is not a small mistake. It is not that you're lazy about logging. It is that you picked the wrong type once, months ago, in about half a second. And every session since has been pouring into a bucket with no bottom. So quick pause here, because that is the piece that people repost. If that just fixed something for you, like the episode and subscribe so the next tutorial actually reaches you. That is it. Let's get back to it. Now, let's put it into something you can actually remember without notes. I'm going to show you something. And if you're just listening, feel free to write notes or come back to the video version. If you're listening on Spotify or YouTube, you can actually see what I'm showing on screen. You can take a screenshot, take a screen grab. And what I'm saying here is, if you need to remember anything, is log it, name it, beat it. Log it. The cardio goes inside the same Hevy workout as the lifting. Not a second app, not a different day. You finish your last set, you scroll down, you add the cardio to the same session, and you hit finish once. One place. If it lives somewhere where you do not open it, it does not exist. And I'm not saying that as a motivational line. I'm saying that as a fact about your phone. So name it. This is the drop down. When you build the exercise, pick distance and duration. That is the step everybody skips. And it is the only step that you cannot fix later without starting the exercise over. Beat it. Before you start the session, look at the left side of the screen where Hevy shows you your last time. Pick one thing you're going to beat, just one. Either the same distance in less time or more distance in the same time, not both. If you chase both, you will half chase each one and beat neither. You're going to train harder than last time. That is the principle. Train harder than last time. Progressive overload. Same thing if you're lifting weights. Same thing with your cardio. Progressive overload. And this time it's your heart that's pumping. Progressively overloading your heart. The pump, right? The muscles for your heart, which works with the activity that you do when you're doing cardio. So that's it. Log it, name it, beat it. Three things, and you never need to write them down again. Now, let's go back to the steps because I owe you that. Hevy will not count your steps. Here is why that is a good thing. Your steps are not a workout, they are a background number. They come from the way you live for 16 hours, the moment you wake up to the time that you go to bed. Not from a thing you decided to do for 20 minutes. Your phone already counts them for free in your pocket, whether you ask whether you ask it to or not. It's a good thing. So the mistake I see people make is trying to log steps daily inside a training app. And it fails every single time for the same reason. You're asking yourself to open an app and type a number on a Saturday when you did nothing. Nobody keeps up with that. Nobody. So 2 weeks and it's dead. Here is what actually works. Once a week, one number, Sunday night, or whenever your week ends. Open your phone's health app. Look at your weekly step average and put that number into Hevy. Not 7 numbers. One, your average for the week. And here's a small trick that makes it work. Build a custom exercise, weekly steps, and set the type to distance and duration, same as your cardio. Then put your step average in the distance box. Now, Hevy is going to label that box kilometers or miles, whatever units you set your app to. Ignore that completely. You're not measuring distance. You're borrowing the box because that is the only box in the app that takes a big number with a decimal and draws a line on a graph. I tried to add the steps. I couldn't find the steps. That option was not there. However, on the Stairmaster, it does have steps, but I don't know what Hevy's doing. They might change it later. I don't know. So 8,400 goes in as 8.4. That is your week. And in 6 weeks, you will have something almost nobody has. You'll have a single line showing you whether the way that you're living is producing more movement or less. Not a daily guilt number, just a trend line. That is the honest version. So Hevy is a strength training app that will hold your cardio and your steps well. It is not a running app. If you're training for a half marathon, go get something else that's built for that. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend otherwise and look into something like Strava. And there's also like a step up goal, but that one's for steps specifically, not for training. It's kind of like a secondary app, but Strava will be another good option for runners. Or I think Garmin might have its own version. Now, uh, the 7. This is the one that I want to show you. The 7. The free version of Hevy lets you make 7 custom exercises. Everything that I described needs 3. 3. You have 4 spare. So nobody watching this needs to pay for anything to do this. And I want to be clear about that because half of these tutorials turn into some form of a sales pitch for a subscription, probably within a minute or two. So this is not a sponsored video. Heavy doesn't sponsor me. And this is just from my experience, something that I use, I like, and I trust. And so there is one place where the free plan will actually pinch you. And I would rather tell you now than have you find out in December. So on the free plan, your graphs go back about 3 months. For lifting, 3 months is usually fine. Your bench usually moves faster and fast enough so that you can see it. For cardio, on the other hand, 3 months is tight. Cardio gets better slowly and quietly. So the change from your first easy bike session to a genuinely fitter version of you is not a 3 month picture. It's more like a 7, 9 month picture. So if you get a year into this and you want to see the whole line, that is a moment pro is actually worth it to you. Not today. Today, it's just about 3 exercises that are free, 10 minutes. So here is exactly what to build. And have your phones out. And I'll show you, I'll demonstrate on screen, on the uh, screen in a bit. Have your phones out, be ready. We're going to build exercise 1, which is easy cardio. Easy cardio will have type, distance, and duration. This is your relaxed session. So it could be a bike, rower, incline walk, whatever you use, whatever you enjoy. That is the most important thing about cardio. Do what you enjoy. Exercise number 2, type. It's going to be hard cardio. Type, distance, and duration. Same machine is fine, but exercise has to be different. The exercise has to be different because you never want your hard session and your easy sessions sitting on the same graph. If they share a graph, the line will be going up and down like a heartbeat, and it tells you nothing. That is actually worth saying and repeating again. Easy and hard get their own exercise. Otherwise, a graph is noise. Exercise 3, weekly steps, type distance, the borrowed box. That's where we'll add our steps. So 3 exercises. And now I'll demonstrate and show you where they are. And I'll do this because I think it's important. So I'm not going to go through the entire setup for Heavy because I've done episodes on how to set up Heavy. And so I'm only going to show you this as assuming that you already have this set up on your account. So I had created this one. So I'm going to delete this in the last stream that I did. So I'm going to delete this. I'm going to delete the folder and delete the routine. Doesn't take me too long to do this, so we'll do this. That's why I like Heavy. Right. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder and I'm going to call it cardio and step count. So I've got my routine. I've got my folder. Now I'm going to add a routine. I'm going to go easy cardio. Oh, easy cardio. And then I'm going to pick walking. Okay, so we're going to go walking. So as you can tell, this is kilometers and time. So I've got that. So I'm going to save the routine. I'm going to click here on the edge or anywhere on the exercise, and then I'm going to pull it, drag it, drop it into cardio and step count. So I'm going to put it in the folder. That is how I organize my routines. And then another one, we're going to go hard cardio. And then for hard cardio, I'm going to go spin. I'm picking this one specifically for a reason. So I'm going to go spinning. So this is spin class, spin bike. So spin has time. So spin has time. This is just going to be a diary entry. So because it's a diary entry, it's not going to be what I want. But spinning, cycling, very similar. So I'm going to add cycling. Huh. So cycling has distance and time. So I'm going to remove the spin, remove exercise off. So now I've got my hard cardio. Boom, done. I select it, I click it, I drag it, I drop it. Okay, now new routine, we're going to go weekly steps. That is my new name for that. So now I'm going to go walking. So I had created this one. So walking steps. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create a new one to show you how to select and create an exercise where you can actually add the type, the distance, and duration, because that is the most important part. That is a mistake a lot of people make. And sometimes when you select an exercise, just like I showed you with the spinning and cycling, how one had time and the other one had distance and time, so duration. So now I'm going to show you here. So you're going to click custom exercise right there. And then I'm going to say weekly steps. I'm just going to call it weekly steps. Okay. And then exercise type. So this drop down here, this is the drop down. So on this drop down, we want to look for distance and duration. So it's the second bottom one on my screen. Yours could be different depending on the device that you're using. And then equipment, I'm going to say none because it's just steps. And then primary muscle group, we're going to say cardio. So we have to look for cardio because we're not targeting a specific muscle group besides the heart, which is cardiovascular system, which is your heart. Okay. So now all of this, you now have it. If you have a picture that you like, you can add it there, your favorite shoes, and then you can create exercise. So now our exercise is created. And as I mentioned before, you're tracking your steps. This is like your daily activity. So if you're sleeping, for example, 8 hours, and you're awake about 16 hours of the day, then over here I'll put 16 for time. Oh, so that's going to be time. That's the duration. And 16 times, actually, it's not 16, it's 16 times, say 7. So 16 times 7 is 112. So it's actually 112. So we're going to put 112 because the logic, okay. Okay, that's going to be a lot. Okay, 112. Okay, so it's not adding. Okay, so what you can do, because right now I'm seeing that it's not logging the 16. So I'm going to go 1, 1, 2. So I'm going to put 1, 1, 2. So this will be 112. This is going to be hours. right? 112 hours. And then now for the kilometers, we're going to track our distance. So instead of using, because we don't have steps, the option for steps, so we're going to use 8,400 steps weekly average and put 8.4 right there. This is just an example, but you'll come and log the number that you actually have every week. So in the case that maybe you did 8.4, you can write a note here. You can say 8.4 weekly step average. And you can say og 24 to og 30, let's say, for example, to og 30, 2026. Okay, so now you've also added a note. Weekly steps average og 20 og 24 to 30, 2026. So this is now a note that you have. So you can save this routine. And then next time when you come and then you're logging, you have this data already ready for you, which to change. So you're not going to change your time because your time is fixed, but now you're just adjusting the number of steps. That's right. So you've got the decimal. So you just use 8,400. That's going to be just 8.4 and you're good. So you're going to click save routine. I'm going to click that. I'm going to pull it up. So now you can track your weekly steps. So you've got a way to track everything in one app. And when you use the consistent number for time with the steps, because we changed that, we're customizing that, it'll still plot the same trend line, same graph, because the units are going to be the same. So if you walk 9,000, then you put 9.0 Ks. So that's how you do it. So how to set up Hevy, I've shown you before in the other episodes, so you can go watch those videos on how to set up Hevy. And if you'd like to create like custom workout plans, that's also something that I've also shown people how to do it, and actual full routines with multiple exercises, right? Like if you're adding different exercises, so you can go back, watch some of those episodes, and you can have a better idea of how to set this up if this was a bit confusing for you because you're like, okay, well, how do I get there? So go watch the other episodes so that you know exactly how we got to this point. But essentially, this is how you create. This is how you create your cardio plan, and then you have that ready for you. So that is what we have right there. And now, so now, if you do it 3 times, right? So these are 3 exercises. So if you do this, you save them and you do it 3 times, you're done. You've got the three, you've got the easy cardio, you've got the hard cardio, weekly steps. You see how long it took us? Not too long. So, and then next week, here is what it looks like in practice. When you now come next week, here is what it looks like. Because if you take, for example, someone like Emily, Emily lifts, right? So she lifts, last set is done. Instead of hitting finish, she say scrolls down, taps add exercise and picks easy cardio. She rides for maybe 20 minutes. When she gets off the bike, the screen says 9.1 kilometers. She types 25 and 9.1, and now she hits finish. One workout, one entry, Lifting and cardio in the same place. Thursday, same thing. With hard cardio, 20 minutes. And this time, Heavy shows her last Thursday on the left. So 6.2 kilometers. So she has one jog, 6.3. Sunday night rolls around, opens up a health app, weekly average, 8,400 steps, opens Heavy, logs 8.4 under weekly steps. So same thing, 2 seconds, and she's done. So that's what I showed you right here, right? So that's easy cardio, hard cardio, weekly steps, and she's done. That is a whole system. She did not add a single minute of training. She added about 10 minutes of setup one time and 20 seconds a week. And in the 8 weeks, she can now answer the question that she could not answer before. Is the cardio getting better? Yes. 6.2 to 6.6 on the same 20 minutes? That is not a feeling. That is a line on a screen. That is a real data point. So, a couple of things I want to be straight about this before we finish. Do not let the number take over the plan. If you're chasing faster time on your easy session every single time, every single week, that session is not easy. It's not going to be easy anymore for long. And the whole reason it exists is that it is easy. Easy days protect your lifting days. Some call it recovery day, where they do recovery workouts, recovery exercise. So beat the number on your hard day. Let the easy one be easy. That is important. That is important to know. And if you're coming back from an injury, pay attention. Or your knees or your hips talk to you during any of this, the number is not the priority. Going to get looked at by someone qualified is what I'm sharing here is education. It's not medical advice, and I'm not your doctor. So make sure to go get checked. If you are recovering from an injury, consult with your doctor before you start performing any of these exercises. Now, with that, I want to hear from you. And I mean it, actually hear from you. So, which one of these three did you find you had been doing wrong? So, the cardio living in another app, one, the 45-minute diary entry, two, or the steps thing. I'll read the comments, I'll read the chat to see what exactly was going wrong for you. And the bigger one, what is the one part of your training right now that you genuinely cannot see? Not your cardio, something else. Is it sleep? Is it food? Is it how much you actually walk during a workday? Something. Because I would guess most of us have one. And I would guess that one, that is the one that has not moved in a year. Because if you don't pay attention, you don't bring awareness to things, you cannot improve what you don't track. It's almost impossible because you don't know, right? So, last thing, go back to the very start of this episode, 2 lines, 45 minutes, 4.1 kilometers in 20 minutes. The difference between those two is not the effort. Emily worked the same on both. The difference is that one of them can be beaten and one of them cannot. And the one that can be beaten is the one that turns into something because she's able to train harder than last time. So you're not going to remember most of what I said to you today, and that's fine. But remember this: log it, name it, beat it. Open the app today. Open the app today, build the three: easy cardio, hard cardio, weekly steps, and get that drop down right. 10 minutes, and then it runs itself for years. You don't have to keep coming back to it. Then come back and tell me the three you built because I want to see them. I want to know what you built for yourself, what works for you. And you might have something that I could use as well for my own training. And if this episode itself has saved you from 4 more months of cardio you cannot see, like this video, subscribe, and send it to the person in your gym who has been doing 45 minutes on the treadmill since February with nothing to show for it. They need this one more than you did. So, fam, I will see you next Thursday for another episode of Fitness Thursday. Tomorrow, I will see you for